Welcome, everybody. Good afternoon and happy Women's History Month. Welcome to the Ancestral Motherline Mapping of Restorative Conversation. On behalf of the African American Center and the San Francisco Public Library, we're so happy to welcome everyone here into this space for what I know will be a transformative afternoon of storytelling, poetry, and lived testimony. I want to especially welcome our speakers with us today, Rhodessa Jones, Dr. Zoe Franklin, Ida McCray, Sandra Mama Makeda, Hooper Mayfield, Reverend Dele, and our wonderful organizer, Wanda Sabir. I'm Shauna Sherman, manager of the African American Center here. And before we get started, I want to acknowledge that the library is located in the area now known as San Francisco, which is on the unceded ancestral homeland of the Ramaytush Ohlone peoples of the San Francisco Peninsula. And also as the African American Center, we honor the gifts, resilience, and sacrifices of our Black ancestors who toiled the land and survived anti-Black racism despite never being compensated nor fully realizing their own sovereignty. Because of their work, we are here today and are investing in their legacy. Part of that work is doing programs like the one we have here for you today. We also have a collection of over 5,000 books by and about Black people. Stop by and see us sometime at the main library in San Francisco's Civic Center. We're on the third floor. Right now, we've got this wonderful exhibit up in our space called We've Got Soul, which explores the Black influence on sneaker culture. In May, we'll be welcoming Sneaker Museum Oakland into the space to show us some of their wares and talk about sneaker love. I'll put info about all these programs in the chat, and you can find more about what we're doing by signing up for our newsletter or visiting sfpl.org on our department webpage. Thank you to the original donors to the center, the Black librarians who ran things here before us, the Friends of the San Francisco Public Library, and the people behind the scenes who keep libraries open 7 days a week in San Francisco. So I'm going to bring our Mistress of Ceremonies to the stage right now. Please join me in welcoming Miss Wanda Sabir.
Oh, thank you so much, Shauna. And thank you so much, presenters, panelists, friends, uh, mentors who have said yes to today's day of storytelling. We want to bring in our ancestors, particularly our matrilineal line ancestors who, are here, obviously, because we are here. But we want to call their names and bring them in, specifically. So I'll start. I'm Wanda, daughter of Helen, uh, granddaughter of Josephine, great granddaughter of Gully, great granddaughter of Cecilia, who was born in 1776. And then for all of the mothers and grandmothers and great grandmothers and aunties and others who might not be related to me by blood, I want to thank you so much and bring you into the space as well. Ashe.
Shay.
Okay. I want to bring in my great grandmother. We called her Ma. She was known as Carrie Jones, and her daughter, Gertrude Moore, who was my grandmother, and my grandmother's sister, who we'll learn a little bit more about, Amy, Aunt Elizabeth, and all of those women, my mother, who contributed to me being here today. And I ask all of the ancestors to come in and work with us to ensure our objective for today. Thank you. Ashe.
Ashe.
I am Rhodessa, the great granddaughter of Anna, Big Mama, the daughter of Estella, the granddaughter, Estella and Flossie, my father and mother's, both my parents' parents. And I am the mother of Sandra Lee and the grandmother of Chaz Nicole and the great grandmother of Azel, who he's not a female, but he is so powerful. And all of my cousins, Lily, Robbie, Pee Wee, Maisie, all those women, they're still out there working on the farms, y'all,
Okay.
in
Oh,
Florida. And I just want to embrace all of them and all the
Yes.
women who are not necessarily my blood, but I feel them this afternoon. I feel them
Ashe.
as
oh,
we go into this
Ashe.
conversation. So I'm
Ashe.
glad to be here, and I welcome all of my sister, mother, daughter ancestors to gather around.
Ashe.
okay.
Ashe.
Ashe. My name is Ida, and I want to bring in my mother Lucille. I want to bring in my aunt Yurli. I want to bring in my grandmother, whose also name was Ida. And I
Mm,
can't go back past four like that because they didn't find nothing. But in that, it's not about the blood, it's about the love. And I bring in all the
mhm,
love of each and every one of my sisters, how they've paved the way for me, and how they continue to pave the way for our future. Because we will be here. Hello.
mhm,
Ashe.
mhm,
Ashe.
I'm Makeda, also known as Sandra. Um, I'd like to welcome my mother Ruby May, her mother Evie, her mother Mary Magdalene,
mhm,
and her mother who is kind of like a mother, Eve, and all my grandmother's 8 sisters and her 14 granddaughters, and especially the artists in the family who didn't know that they were artists. Um, I welcome all that art to this place.
Ashe. Ashe.
Ashe. I welcome my mother, Rayella Bouton Brown, my grandmother, Coella Lily Dele, my great grandmother, Mary Lyons, my great great grandmother, Mary Jane DeGraff Indeed Dele, and the mother of my great great grandfather, Caroline Lee, who is of the Wolf Clan Utata tribe of the Cherokee Nation,
Mm.
Florence Bouton of the Mi'kmaq lineage also wants to be here. And so it
Ashe.
is.
Ashe.
So it
Ashe.
is. Ashe.
Ashe.
So, welcome everyone to our Ancestral Motherline Mapping program. It's a restorative conversation with Queen Rhodessa Jones, Ida McCray, Sandra Mama Makeda Hooper, Mayfield, Dr. Zoe Franklin, Rev Dele, and me, your host. um, this work began in a sacred lineages course at the California Institute of Integral Studies in its Women's Spirituality program in 2023,
Mm.
2025. I'm no longer there. However, it was also informed by another course, Aging as a Spiritual Practice. Key to this study is Black women know invisibility. The older one gets, the more transparent she becomes. Geriatrics is a term that references older men. There's no field of study for older women, that is, women who can no longer have babies, women who no longer bleed. This is problematic given an aging majority female population. What does it mean to embody activism? What does it mean to claim space in a society that believes in perpetual youth and does not see the value in older women?
Mm.
The motherline journey is circuitous and informed by maternal ancestral spirit bodies. The motherline claims all rituals and spells and generational conjuring that got us here. Ashe. It is
Ashe.
all blessed. To know oneself, one has to know her soul's journey. Some of this walk is intuitive, other parts are with intention and guidance. In her 6th decade, Sabir has learned to ask for what she wants and to leave nothing to chance. The Motherline Project began its current iteration International Women's History Month, March 2024. It includes invitations to women 50 years old and older who have Black mothers to share their motherline stories on Wanda's Picks podcast. The objective was and continues to be to share stories of transcendence and triumph. How do these women stay free? Ms. Sabir is curious about her guests' matrilineal influences and how these stories and examples of being an older woman inform these women's journeys, either consciously or unconsciously. Today, panelists will share some of their motherline journey, especially tangible takeaways, that is, what is useful for others who struggle with an unhealthy maternal lineage. How do we get to wellness? These stories are instructive. These healthy Black women provide material evidence that change is possible to sustain. They have disrupted systemic, oppressive, normalized structures. They have shaken up and continue to shake loose what is stagnant and unhealthy with Black mama tools. So welcome.
Ashe.
Ashe.
So Shauna, do you want to read my bio first?
Sure. So as Miss Wanda Sabir, our fabulous host, is founder of Souljourning for Truth Ministry, Inc. She is a retired college professor for 25 years, independent scholar, storyteller, and spiritual healer who practices a decolonized 12-step recovery, insight meditation, ancestral reverence, Ma'afa, San Francisco Bay Area, and African cosmology. She is a journalist for over 35 years in print, web, and radio. At Wanda Picks is her tagline. She is also a Louisiana native, San Francisco transplant, mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother. She is a published writer, editor, poet, and filmmaker, and a multi-genre artivist, whose assignments come from the unseen realm or heavens. Ashe. One such assignment is to establish an intentional community for older Black womb N, which I hope we're doing today. Thank you.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Thank you, Shauna. And now, yes, we can, that's me and my mother in one of those photo booths that I don't know if they still have them anywhere, but that was kind of fun.
I know they had them out at the beach.
Yeah, exactly. So that's me with a relative who I don't know who's carrying me. He's probably a cousin. Everybody was a cousin. And that's me again. That's my Easter dress. My mother made it 1961. These are all that Easter Sunday, perhaps. 1961 in New Orleans. And that's me on Tioga Street in San Francisco. I think it was 18 Tioga was the address. And that is, I flew out to Manhattan to see artist Thomas J. Price's Grounded in the Stars. It was a sculpture in New York's Times Square, and so I'm posing with it. Yeah, she's 12 feet tall.
Wow.
And the work came down on June 14th last year. So it was like, oh, I gotta go see this beautiful Black woman piece. I mean, she was so gorgeous, and you see how big she is. And you can turn to the next one, Ashana. So the other one, the other one on the other side is in Battle Creek, Michigan. And that monument is to Sojourner Truth. And Sojourner Truth, her final home was in Battle Creek, Michigan. And those two statues are the same height. I just thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, I was in Battle Creek, I think in 2022. And there, I am in Elmina Dungeon in Ghana, where our ancestors were brought as enslaved people and then shipped, into the diaspora. Next slide. Same place, Elmina Dungeon in Ghana. It was a fort, so they had guns and things like that. And this right here is at the College of Alameda, and that's the Freedom Bus. Supposedly the one that Mrs. Rosa Parks was arrested on. Um, this is not the actual bus, but it was one like this. And it was on a tour. And so the College of Alameda ended up being able to get it there, brought to our site. Next slide. Next slide. This is in Bahia, Brazil, and I'm visiting with the Biomort. And these Black women worked to free enslaved Black people so no one would die enslaved. And this particular woman, she's a filmmaker.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. And that's my granddaughter. I only have one granddaughter, and she's a lot older now. And that's me and my younger daughter and my mother, 3 generations. And that was a while back, no gray hair. And that's my family, my older daughter, my younger daughter, my granddaughter, and me. So, thank you. Queen Rhodessa Jones
Yes.
is nationally and internationally recognized as a pioneer and leader in utilizing art as a vehicle for social change. Rhodessa's storytelling mastery is central, fundamental, and inspirational to the Medea Project, Theater for Incarcerated Women, HIV Circle, which she founded 38 years ago. Generations of young women have been taught and experienced epiphanies under her tutelage. Some have gone on to become theater professionals in their own right. More importantly, many more have been saved. All benefited from their exposure to Miss Jones's sage counsel and worldly wisdom. Born the eighth of a dozen children to migrant worker parents, her most recent accomplishments include the San Francisco Arts Commission's Legacy Artist Grant, awarded in 2024, a Legacy Artist Award in 2023 to 2024 from Youth Speaks through the California Arts Council, and a Pew Fellowship in the Arts in 2022. She is a Frank H. T. Rhodes Chair at Cornell University, conducted visiting professorships at Dartmouth University, Hamilton College, and the University of Wisconsin. She was the recipient of an honorary doctorate from California College of the Arts, awarded San Francisco Bay Guardian's Lifetime Achievement Award, San Francisco Foundation's Community Leadership Award, and an Otto Rene Castillo Award for Political Theater. Her solo plays, The Legend of Lily Overstreet, Big Butt Girls, Hard-Headed Women, and Hot Flashes, Power Surges, and Private Summers. And is it The Legend of She? Is that what it's called, Rhodessa?
Which one?
The one that's not in the list.
The Resurrection of She.
The resurrection. How can I forget that this is that month, right? The Resurrection of She. I love that one. So I'm just adding that. Span decades and stand out as seminal tour de force performances in the canon of American theater. Welcome, Queen Rhodessa. Share with us who you brought with regards to the illustrations.
Thank you so much for having me here.
You're welcome.
Okay. That's me, my mom, my daughter Sandra, and my granddaughter Chaz in my backyard in San Francisco. Next slide. That's my big mama. That's Anna Lee Edwards. She used to say, be a woman, don't be no dress. Say what you mean and mean what you say. Powerful woman. That's me and my daughter. And when I was a hippie chick. And we were being spiteful for the family, saying, later for y'all, we're going to do it our way. That's my daughter. She's about 8, and that's me. And we're having a great time on that couch in that room. Oh, and that's my great-grandson, Azel Anu, with his Black Lives Matters hat on in LA. Next photo, please. That's my grandma Flossie, my father's mother, and my Uncle Bubba, her last living son. Next slide, please. And that's my daughter Sandra Lee and my granddaughter Chaz Nicole in New York. and that's my daughter, Sandra, and me here in San Francisco a million years ago. But there we are. Next slide. It's at my mother's funeral. That's my daughter and myself. Next slide, please. And that's my granddaughter, Chaz Nicole, and my great-grandson, Azel Anu. That's my daughter, Sandra, myself, and my granddaughter, Chaz Nicole. Awesome women. Awesome. Yes.
And here I go. I'm just so thrilled to be among such powerful Black women. It just makes my heart feel good. Thank
Yeah.
you all for being here.
Well, thank
And
you. Wait a second. I need to read your bio.
oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, welcome so much, Ida McCray. Appreciate it. Can we have the bio? There we are. Ida McCray, rooted in truth, committed to transformation. Ida McCray is a force for healing, accountability, and radical love. A trauma and wellness professor, former California Wellness Fellow, and longtime advocate for returning citizens, Ida brings forth lived experience and deep professional insight to her work. Convicted of air piracy in 1986 and sentenced to 20 years, she emerged from the prison system determined to break cycles of violence rooted in a lack of consciousness and foresight for generations following. With 20 years of service in the San Francisco Sheriff's Department, she founded Families with a Future, a nonprofit focused on the reintegration and empowerment of formerly incarcerated people. Ida is a fierce facilitator in batterers intervention programs, centering transformation over punishment, especially for women navigating reentry and healing. A lover of books and humanity, Ida sows to restore her own spirit and teaches to restore others. Her work is a mix of hard truths, spiritual insight, and no frills wisdom. She's now building a retreat center on her own land, a sanctuary for renewal, healing, and community. We must rest because tomorrow is not promised and today we are needed, she says. Welcome, Ida McCray.
That gives me chills.
Yes.
Thank you. Oh, all right. So next, that is, I don't have a lot of pictures because when I was incarcerated, my mother lost our home of 40 years due to them focusing on elder people, but I had a few. And so when I was asked to, that's me in a high chair, that's one of the few pictures I have. Next. This is me sitting on the ground in 1418 Newcomb in Hunters Point, California. And now they say it's all radiated. But anyway, so I'm glad I'm glad to be here. I'm glad my mother took that one picture of me at the top of the hill in Hunters Point, California. Next. This is me, one of my prison pictures. That's me. That's my granddaughter that I'm holding, Shanika, who just passed away last year. And the one in the purple is my youngest daughter, Nia. And then there's my son, Jundi. I am a mother of five, but you see some of them there. And of course, that's me. Next. This is another picture of when we had a Children's Day at the Dublin prison, which is now closed for things that were happening then and now. But anyway, of course they closed it down. But anyway, that's my son Jundi, that's Nia, and that's my other daughter, Talia. And that's what that is. It was the army base. So fortunately, some people got together at the women's prison and we had a Children's Day. Next, please.
Well, thank you, Ida, for joining us. Looking forward to continuing this conversation.
All right.
So, Dr. Zoe Franklin.
Yes. Grand afternoon, everybody.
No.
Sure. I want to ask everyone to please mute when you're not speaking so we don't have any feedback. Thanks. So, can I have Zoe's bio, please? Uh-oh. Oops, didn't know I was off camera. Oh, that's
You have to
not the
go back
bio.
one.
Yeah.
Go, oh, back, one more.
There we
Yeah.
are. Okie doke. Thank you. You can put Zoe back with me spotlighted as well. There we go. Cool. We really appreciate you, Shauna. You got a lot of stuff to do. Dr. Zoe Franklin holds a Bachelor of Arts degree from Chicago State University, 2002, a master's degree from the University of California at Berkeley, 2005. That's where I met her. And a doctorate of education from Argosy University, Chicago, 2013. Dr. Franklin has instructed courses in Black studies on educational leadership in the Black community, Black women in Africa and the diaspora, pre-colonial, colonial, post-colonial African history and culture, and the African American family. She is co-founder of the African American Studies Alumni Association at Chicago State University. She teaches courses in Africana Studies, African History, Analysis of Racism, and Institutional Racism at Olive Harvey College, where she is a tenured professor. She has presented as a panelist on Ancestral Motherline Mapping at Boston University, on Mandela and Castro at the Chicago Cuban Coalition, and on the importance of names in the African American tradition at a community gathering at a Chicago church. She is a member of several organizations, such as the Jopian Institute, World African Diaspora Union, and the Washington Park Forum. In her classes, Dr. Franklin often uses her life experiences as examples of how to overcome obstacles. The mother of two sons loves to travel, eat good food, and be surrounded by good people. Her belief is that everyone has a story that is worthy of being given voice. Welcome, Dr. Franklin.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be amongst these creator mothers. You guys are just, amazing. And I'm already full, so and I'm one of those people who, due to abject poverty when I was growing up, there were very few pictures of me from like 0 to 12 years old. So a lot of this is like other stuff. Okay. So the photo on the left is me getting out of the United States Navy, 1990, cutting the perm out of my hair. The other photo is of me I think it was at my son's baseball game in Sigonella, Sicily. The other picture was me in Jacksonville, Florida. Next slide, please. And that's me walking on the base with my supervisor. I was much thinner. Next, please. Okay, this is a picture after my own heart because my mother is on the left. That's me in the red shirt, and then my youngest son and my oldest son. And we are at One Africa, and I think that is in Kumasi in Ghana in 2017. So that right there was like a dream come true. Next slide, please. Okay, and then that's me. I was given a gift of the Sankofa necklace because I was being honored for activism in the community by an elder organization here in 2022. It's at a Sankofa moment. And this is me. I met these women when I went to Burkina Faso and Togo in 2024. They are members of the Earth Center, and we hit it off and we had a nice time. They're both from Canada. Next slide, please. Okay, and that's me at one of the African Fests. I think it was 2 African Fests ago here in Chicago that happens annually. And a friend of mine wanted to have fun with me taking a photo. So I'm thankful. Next photo, please. Okay, that's me at Gorée Island 2025. Gorée Island is in Senegal on the left side. That's me in Senegal. And then me, I love hugging trees. And then me, I caught the second fish in my life in Gambia. So yeah, had good time. Thank you.
So now we like to welcome, thank you, Zoe. We like to welcome Sandra and Mama Makeda Hooper Mayfield.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear
Okay.
you.
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you. Sandra Mama Makeda Hooper Mayfield, born in Berkeley, California, travels between California, Texas, and Ghana. She is the founder of Sugar Water, a global artist platform for girls and women, but she is best known for her work with youth as a behavioral and mental health counselor in jails and her over 40 years work in Alcoholics Anonymous. Mama Makeda believes in love and healing through art. She is a poet, visual artist, and journalist. I'm sorry, I'm adding all these conjunctions. Sorry. She is a poet, visual artist, journalist, and literacy specialist who fell in love with words at 6 years old when her teacher read the class a poem. She is the author of Sugar Water, a chapbook, and her work can be found in several anthologies. As a journalist, she was awarded the Ella Hill Hutch Award for her contribution to journalism and her editorial establishment of the South County edition of the Post newspaper group 20 years ago. So welcome, Mama Makeda.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Wanda, for who you are and for keeping our journey as Black women at the forefront. Thank you so much for inviting me. And thank you everybody for being here. That's my mama. That's my mama, Ruby Mae Hooper. And that's my oldest sister, Eloise. Um, yeah, that's them. And that's me at First Holy Communion at St. Columba School, where I was educated in parochial schools. Yeah. And my mother, Ruby Mae. And that's my mom and my dad. Um, her ambition in life was to love him, and his ambition in life was to love her and do some things on the side. He was a provider and a protector. Those are my children. That's my son and my daughter and me, and that's my daughter and me several years ago. That's my Oh, that's down in the country. We still have 125 acres that we descend upon twice a year. We got about 7 or 8 generations. My grandmother had seven sisters, and so that property just goes from one generation to the next. And that's it's in Timpson, East Texas, Timpson, Texas, and Aunt Clara was the baby. Oh, and these are our sisters and cousins and just people down there in the country. And oh, that's Aunt Lillian. Well, she's Aunt Lily, who was 104 when she died a couple of years ago.
Oh, shit.
Those are my two sisters. The first one is my sister Casbra, who was raised here in Oakland and died from drug overdose. And that's my eldest sister, Eloise, and uh, she was she was my big sister. 9 years apart we were. She passed away from cancer a couple of years ago. This is my granddaughter, Heaven. The first one is my granddaughter, Heaven, and the other one is my granddaughter, Robin. Robin has just recently blessed me with the only boy, and I call him Messiah. They named him Caden, but he could come over to my house and do anything. So yeah. And let me see who's that. I can't even see. Oh, that's my youngest granddaughter. Well, there's the baby right there. He's at 13 months old now, and then That other little girl on the side, that's my youngest granddaughter, Tyler. She belongs to my son. I can't even see that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mama Makeda, for joining us. Really appreciate it. And now we're gonna welcome Rev Dele. There you are. Thanks for your patience. It's just such a wonderful conversation, such a wonderful gathering. Rev Dele, eco-theologian, grandmother, elder, nature doula, is the presiding elder at Earth Sanctuary, a spiritual community devoted to communion with God and care for the earth. Rooted in an ancient meditation tradition of the early followers of the Way, the congregation nurtures spiritual maturity, ecological awareness, and resilience during times of crisis. A lifetime student of the Bible, baptized at 12 and filled with the Holy Spirit at 30, Rev Dele's journey has crossed many sacred traditions. Her studies include initiations in the Akan Spiritual United Order, the Tijaniya Thicker Circle, and the yoga lineage of Kashmir Shaivism. Shaivism? How do you say that? Shaivism, okay. Shaping a mystical ministry that bridges inner transformation and prophetic social change. A sixth-generation activist, minister ordained in the United Church of Christ, Rev Dele has served churches, universities, and meditation communities. She co-founded Soil and Souls, an herb farm and resilience school teaching sustainability and earth-centered spiritual practice. You can get in touch with her the numeral 2, creationcare@gmail.com. Welcome, Rev Dele.
Well, bonjour, Akaba, and welcome to everyone here. Before we go into my family, I just want to say I really appreciate being here. I appreciate strengthening our bonds of eternal love and the indomitable strength of our foremothers, and really the purified desires that comes out of calling their names and reclaiming their histories and the lessons. So I'm grateful to be here. This is a family portrait of 4 generations. I am in the African attire with the head wrap. I am next to my mother in the turquoise blue. And this is someone who, the first thing she told me about her first memory of self-awareness was when her mother and her mother's sister were just cackling about some little antic that she had done. And they said, sis, what are we going to do with that child? And of course, they didn't think the child, who was about 3 years old, was listening, but she was. And she reared her head around and put her hands on her hips. And she said, just rear me. That's all you have to do. Just rear me. And so that's the kind of self-awareness that I was raised with. She has her hand on my daughter, who is now 50, so she looks a little different than that. And then below her, the elder who's seated is my grandmother, Coella Lily Dele, and my mother's name was Rayella Bouton Brown. So Coella Lily Dele was the firstborn girl. There were 11 children in her family. And she was loved and appreciated by her brothers, but she didn't take any mess from them. When she used to visit her brothers and sister-in-laws, if the brothers got unruly, because some of them drank a little bit too much, and she was determined that they were not going to beat their wife that weekend. So what she would do, she would take them to jail for the weekend, and then on Monday, before she left to go home, she would get them out. So the women in my family didn't take any stuff personally. Also, professionally in the community, she was a stalwart missionary Baptist missionary at a national level. And some of her writings, her speeches that she used to write about mission work, I've used today. So that's how timeless her wisdom was. The most outstanding, I guess, community service project that I recall is that during, I think, the late 50s or 60s, when the communities were integrating and they were trying to, the Black community wanted to build a new school for the Black high school students. And she felt that their plans were well beneath the aspirations of the students. So she partnered with a family friend who Jake Simmons, who was the first Black oil man to be in Nigeria. And she said, Jake, she says, our children deserve more than that. So they raised $1 million and they built a high school that still stands today. Those are some of the shoulders I stand on. Next slide. And this is her mother, Mary Lyons. Mary Lyons was a short woman, about 4'11", married to a very tall man, Makeda Dele, over 6 feet. And again, another woman that didn't take any stuff. She had all those boys, and when they started what they used to say, smelling themselves, she had something for them. When one of her sons decided he was going to go out to party, and she said no, he couldn't go, she took one of those big iron skillets, feeding 11 people. That was a big iron skillet. And she took that iron skillet and threw it at him. It hit him in the head, knocked him down. And she went to him and she said, oh, and she told my other uncle who was sitting there, she said, Zolly, go tell your daddy I've killed Jerome. Now, Jerome was not dead, but I don't think he tried to step out anymore. Mary Lyons used to tell my mother consistently, we are from the Akan, we're Akan, we're Akan. My mother didn't have a clue as to what that meant until I started studying African culture in the 1980s. And when I told my mom who the Akan were, and that actually I was studying herbalism with them, now all of a sudden my African attire, gained respectability, which of course, back there in the 80s, I was just one of those poor, pitiful children. She was a tremendous prayer warrior. My mother talks about when she would come to visit her, and her grandmother would be praying in the bed. She said the bed would get to rocking and to rolling, and she said, and sometimes the bed would raise up off the ground, and my mother would just put the covers over her head. It took my mother a really long time to step into her evangelism. She was 50 before she did that, but it was because of this woman that she finally did. Next slide. Okay, so I'm sitting on some land that is the result of the woman inside of that fan. That's Mary Jane de Graffendian Dele. Again, another woman that, prayer warrior, didn't take any stuff. She, I guess her claim to fame was the last thing that she did before she passed was she took her baby son to court. Why? Because he was trying to steal the family land and she was going to have none of that. So she took him to court, won the land back for the family, and that's the land that I am currently residing on. It's 60 acres of timberland. Hasn't been lived on in generations, but it's here. It's been calling me, and I feel her presence. I feel held on that land, and I'm sure that the ecological mission that I've been called to will be fulfilled on that land. And so this is, the type of legacies that my people leave. They leave legacies of institutions and land and schools and churches. It was when, I don't have a picture of it, but it was when I went to my ancestral church in South Carolina, and I was going to preach there. This is a church that this man, her husband, had bought right after the Civil War. And so that church is about 157 years old. And I was walking in the grounds behind the church. It was all pine forest. And this voice of God came to me very clearly and said, "This is my garden." And I looked at the pine. He said, "No, this is my garden." And it just shifted my whole understanding and awareness of what the Garden of Eden really meant. And that's what it's my task to do on this 60 acres in northern Louisiana. Next slide. This is her daughter. This is Mary Jane Dele Cornwell. And she gave 300 acres of her land to Grambling University,
Wow.
which is still there. The people at Grambling University remember her because she lived in in town. I guess she lived on Main Street. And she was known to be someone who would walk at night, just be out. She felt safe, secure, and she would just be walking and praying at night. The site of her, I have cousins who are in their 70s who remember going to her home right there, in Grambling. And right now, the homestead is no longer there. The family sold it to the U.S. Post Office. And so the site of the Grambling Post Office is a site that was dear to my family for a long time, as well as, some of the buildings on campus. I am now recording a podcast out of Grambling University. And so that gift, keeps on giving. We have one cousin who was able to use the scholarship. When she gave the land to Grambling, she insisted that her descendants be able to attend free. And we're only aware of one woman who took them up on that offer. But because it existed, many children were able to, attend that university and get the education that was needed. Is there another slide? Oh, that's just me. That's on the property. Yeah, there is. I plan to have an herb farm with St. John's wort and elderberry. And this is forsythia, but the St. John's wort is also a yellow flowered herb. And I think that's it for what I have to say about my pictures. I do have other pictures, but I'm in the middle of moving. I'm in a camper living off grid on that family land right now. And just testing the waters this week, we have an equinox celebration that's occurring on the land. It will be a 7-day camping immersion experience where we will do ceremony, affirming 1 year of me having come there and consecrated the space. And there will be homesteading classes that occur there. So this is, there will also be, that's just one of our biggest activities that we've had since I've been in Louisiana for the last 2 years. And that is all at this time.
Yeah, well, thank you, Rev Dele, for sharing these wonderful stories of your ancestors. And now I want to share a recent poem that I illustrated in a digital story. So, Shauna, you can share that. Double X chromosomes. This Black woman body is a sacred landscape. Our geography contained within sinew, soul, and blood. Contained yet not captive, we, Black women embodied, surrender, even volunteer for such positioning. To be, we position ourselves. We, Black women bodies, stand ready. We call on what's within, what lies hidden, to awaken. This ethnography I call ancestral motherline mapping is an appreciative inquiry which invites Black women motherline stories as a collective, hidden presence, invisible light. Insight lives in her survival stories. Like Yeye Oshun, who was kicked from the firmament, like Hagar, kicked from her home into a desert, like Harriet T. and Sojourner and Harriet E. struggled in this American wilderness. Black women bodies are shelter and fortress. We are Pachamama. Praise her. Yes, praise her. Take out a notebook, stylus, pen, tinsel, and listen. Listen without interruption. Black women embodied are a lived legacy. No one outside her black body knows what it is to be her, she. Yes, you will never know. It is more than biology. The black woman is destiny. She is rain. She is new day. She is hope. She is life wrapped in skin, a tapestry woven of infinity. Listen. She speaks into the darkness. She whispers winds and rain and earthquakes too. She is unknowable. The wicked tremble in her presence. They try to dissolve into her and are stopped. They cannot plug in or unplug what they cannot control. For all her existence, the black woman body has been maligned and ridiculed. She laughs, her laughter hail, Hail. Only the chosen few speak her name. Only those blessed with vision see her light. Many look up with cataracted eyes. Few see beyond milky lens. Be warned and beware. This body, this black woman body is blessed. She is indestructible. She will be here when all is no more because she is all that matters. Matter, 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 Ashe. 2. That I am here is the answer to a prayer composed long before my conception. I am a miracle. I am a gift from the universe. Let's call her Black Mama. I am now, I am the before, I am what follows. I am all there is, and I am nothing too. Yes, I repeat myself because no one reads between the lines, tunes in, stands at the juncture between knowing and the unknowable with humility. We speed dial ourselves into comfort. What we don't know softens as it kills. The dead walk, smile, laugh too. Sit with folks over lunch and plan futures that end nowhere. There's only now, and then now is gone. Wake up. Listen to Black embodied women's stories. Our stories are tuned to the rhythms of life, inhales, exhales, heartbeats, blood rushing through veins like sap flowing, dripping from maple arms. Sweet water kissing flat rocks, breeze rustling leaves, greeting a new sun at daybreak. Yes, we are now. Tomorrow too, but tomorrow is not today's business. Stay in today. Today is a gift, a promise, a prayer, not to be wasted. So much wasted time which is irretrievably gone, poured into an abyss we wade into. Let's call it regret. Useless reflections we peer into. There's a part 3 to this poem. 3. Soul traveling. I'm cutting away fat and skin and pulling out organs as I prepare chicken bones for broth. The protein is something my bones welcome. My stomach enjoys as I digest impressions and diffuse what I encounter uninvited. I pray for protection. I call back my sympathetic energies that scatter as my day moves from morning into night. I am all over the place. I have left myself on store counters and on bus seats and in strangers' faces greeted with a smile today. I call myself back as I settle. I call myself back when I awaken from night flights into realms where ancestors live, where I often find nourishment and peace. I wake to blessed light filtered through blinds, sheer curtains bouncing on wooden floor, crystals hanging suspended throughout the room. I need all of myself here as I prepare as much as I can to meet the day, to step consciously into now. I surrender to its vast mystery and to what is unknowable. Mystery is fun. I like sitting back later when the sun has traveled to its next appointment, or lying in bed with the lights still on, counting all the unexpected blessings as I gather myself into myself once again for sacred rest. Gratitude is an oft repeated prayer. Ashe. Well, thank you. So thank you everyone for just sort of those introductory remarks. And now we are going to go back to Queen Rhodessa and she's going to share something she prepared for us, followed by we're going to go in the same order, which is different from the order that I had here. So Rhodessa, and then I think it's Ida, and then I think it's Zoe, and then I think it's Mama Makeda, and then Rev Dele, and then I have a closing poem. And after we finish, hopefully we won't run out of time, folks. We will allow those who are joining us to be able to ask questions, make comments, things like that. And we have a playlist we want to share with you, contact information, as well as some references for those who want to, read some books and things like that, or watch some videos.
Thank you
Thank you,
very much.
Rhodessa. So take it
Yes, thank
away.
you very much. I'm a storyteller, and I'm a writer, and I collect stories. This is a story that I met in St. Louis. I was there with my partner, and we were at his elder's house, and she started to share with me that the oldest folklore in their family was rooted in a great great grandmother's life, Grandma Cole. Grandma Cole remembered standing on the deck of a slaver ship as a girl. And when this woman told me the story, all I could do was attempt to write it. So I'm going to share with you what I wrote. Okay. Yes, I remember. No more than a girl growing up at my grandmother's knee when she told me of her crossing over from Africa. She was just a girl when the white slaveholders let her up out of the hold. Now, the holes where they kept the slaves all tied up like cattle. But they let her run and play on the deck of the ship, for they had no fear of one little girl. I'd be about 13 years, small, strong, solemn in stature. The sea was so blue, so quiet that day. The sky so clear, so calm. I felt like I was placed in another world, a blue world. I'd be standing on the deck of the slaver ship, lost, alone, far from the white sands and greenness of my home. I'd be a young girl all cried out, empty, dead-like. I'd be standing on the deck of the slaver ship. I am hypnotized by the dark face reflected in the waters below me. I will never see my home, she tells me. My people, my village again. The sob has dried to a dull, rattling ache that echoes way down inside myself. The dark-faced girl I see is staring back, her eyes be deep and sad, and we both be dreaming of flying into the blue, blue waters, blue sky. The guinea hens cry, a yellow sound, mournful. They be grieving as well, grieving for the village, the corn, the tormenting feet of small children, the grass rooftops where they used to sit to escape their little tormentors. And now they be grieving, singing sadness, sadness that trickles trails of yellow light into this blue world. There be cages of birds, mourning doves and grieving hens. They sing my sorrow. The doves coo in misty gray tones. Let us fly. The yard bird screams, scat oranges, bruising purple sounds. I'm wrapped in a mantle of wounded sounds. Everywhere, the white slavers move like dream shadows. They pay me no mind. I be a girl, small, ancient, harmless. They throw me bits of bread and fruit. I be about 13, a black African girl child sitting amongst the cages of birds. The birds plead, cry, whisper. Let us, let us open the doors. Let us fly. We will fly into the blue. The by and by, open the doors. And I be standing there laughing, holding the wooden pins as the gates swing open. Birds be flying all around me, the doves spiraling higher and higher into the face of the morning sun. Now, I be flying too, flying into the blue. Bye, bye. I be crying, snot, salt, the air, burning my eyes, so I be laughing, singing, crying all at the same time, flailing my arms and then flying into the blue too. Looking back down on the deck, I see the white slavers running, chasing the birds. Too late! Too late! There's a girl child being chased too, caught, gasping for breath. She's fending off the blows of the slavers. Ugh! 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 Silently she burns, while leather and fist reshapes her body. Her head is on fire. Ribbons of blood oozing, grimacing. The slavers ravish her body, tearing into her like great gray buzzards. They descend upon her, tearing into her body and destroying an African girl child. Woo, 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 caca, caca, caca. Swooping down back to the deck, I be seeing the ribbons of red and blood dancing, swirling around her head, a crown of rubies reflecting all the moments of her life. Scenes from the village, the elders dancing, chanting, hey, 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 crying out for vengeance, the women planting, gathering, carrying corn, vegetables, the babies on their backs, all singing and pounding feet, calling on the gods of the tribe. And I be lifting the girl child. I'm holding her, being hell, falling down, thrown down into the dark hole, covered with red blood and feathers, shiny, sticky with semen, leather, and flesh. Hey, ah, hey, ah, And in the hole, everyone is chanting, moaning, groaning. The ship is rocking, rolling, and with the sound of rain and thunder, the blue sky turns black. The sisters of the fishes, Yenanya, Yenanya, shapes the boat with a giant hand, and we Africans call on the mother of our mothers. We entreat our fathers before us. Let us fly. Open the doors. Let us fly into the blue, the by and the by. Many tongues, many hearts, many eyes all seeing, feeling, conjuring the same thing. Freedom! If this be death, so be it. Now we all ate at this feast of misery for nights and days. The ship was tossed about, and I be holding on to myself, the African child with open wounds in the dark of the hole. The other Africans reach out to me, not with hands, but with spirit and song, and that carried me to the new world away from my home of white sands and greenness. Arriving at the marketplace, I be two girls, one to be nursed and the other the nurse. I watch the other watch over me in the dark hole with light and magic. Arriving in the new world, I be scarred, but careful, wise in this new place. The Grandma Cole story. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Whoa,
Yeah.
Rhodessa. Oh my gosh.
That's Rhodessa. Oh my.
Thank
Wow.
you. Thank you so much. It's
Wow.
every time I tell it, it takes me other places, just I can't imagine it, but this was like the fourth great grandmother in this family, and she remembered this. She
Mm.
remembered letting the birds out of the cage. She remembered, and it's like, wow, and this lady who told me, Gigi, she was she was like 92 when I met her. She says, this is the oldest family story we have.
Mm.
And it was it was a woman's story in this family in St. Louis. Yeah.
Mm.
So that's my offering today, my lady friends.
Oh, well, thank you, Rhodessa, Queen
Oh, you're
Rhodessa.
welcome. Thank you.
Whoa. Wow. So, Ida, go ahead.
Yes, first of all, I'm so thankful and honored to be here. And when I think of the people who have historical graphs on what's come before them,
Mm,
um, I have envy a little in my heart. Okay, I can go no further than my grandmother, who couldn't even get a birth certificate because it was the census that made them count. She was from Texas. My daddy from Louisiana, who ran from Louisiana, looking from the Great Migration and coming here. And then when I experienced in myself the first family's separation, the separation where I've heard about on the auction block and things like that, is when they put me in jail at 13 years old for petty theft I really didn't even do. But I was there. I ain't gonna say I wasn't there. I was
mhm,
there, when the Lord and Taylor and my friend, who had a lot of sisters and brothers. I'm an only child, by the way. And she took something, so they took us both and gave us tickets. And if my mother didn't take me to 375 Woodside, that was the girls' jail, well, something bad would happen.
mm,
Well, what happened when I went to jail at 13 years old, I was too ignorant to know that I was pregnant and I was
mm,
miscarriaging on the floor. But it was a Friday. And so I had to suffer all that whole weekend. And I remember asking the roommate, the girl I was in with, I say, I think you can knock somebody out if you just hit him here. See if you can knock me out. Because the pain was just so
Mm.
intense. So Monday, when the great big old bull-looking doctor came and looked at me, everybody has to have a fly test where they go in. They say, take her to the general hospital. And I went to the general hospital. And it was then the FBI came up because, see, abortions weren't legal then. And I guess it's coming back to that now. But I was with my boyfriend who was 7 years older than me. And I knew one thing not to tell. And so being a recovering Catholic now, then I said, oh God, can I go to purgatory? Because I'm not going to get him in trouble because it's not like he raped me. I was 13, and then they said, I remember asking the nurse, how many people die from having this surgery? It was just a D&C, but I didn't know. I'm 13, coming from juvenile. And they say, oh, about 1 in 100,000. And I was praying. I said, oh, okay, well, I hope I don't die. And in that, when I went back to juvenile, after they gave me a D&C, I went to what they called a place called Perkins. Another part of California Youth Authority was a big, huge reception center. Because when you talk about mass incarceration, it happened way before this crack epidemic. It was, we ought to be suing the government for putting all this dope in our neighborhoods. Because after the rebellion, as some people call riots in the 60s, all of a sudden my whole neighborhood in San Francisco, California was, in fact, it was just drowned it with heroin. Okay, and many, 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 many people uh, I got addicted, and it was just by the grace of the Almighty that I didn't become addicted. I saw this woman, and she was vomiting, and I said, "Oh, I don't want to vomit on myself." And that little thing stopped me from getting evicted because I thought I was too cute to be vomiting. Okay, so I went the California Youth Authority, and in those uh, the reception center at Perkins, I said, I'm sure I'm going home for this little petty theft. But that's when I found out later on they had opened up a center for girls called Los Gilligas, LG they called it, and it was for young girls. And they sent me up, and I remember I did 6 or 7 months, and I went to go to the board, and the woman said, "Oh, well, she needs some more time because she doesn't interact with the rest of the girls." Well, excuse me, I was the only child. I would get up and start reading Nancy Drew. I didn't want to talk to nobody. And then they took my life away from my grandmother, Ida. And I still call her today. And she's my ancestor that I call along with my mother and my aunt. And in that, I, I really miss the time that I could have been with my grandmother, Ida, who lived in our home. And in that, I just want to say that a lot of things seem to have changed, but ain't nothing changed. And what needs to not change is our resistance to colonialism, domestic terrorism, which some call white supremacy. I call it domestic terrorism. And now it's more people in the pool of knowing what it's like to be invisible, knowing what it's like to be in the skin, and knowing what it's like. And if we don't resist and continue to resist, and we will win, without a doubt, I know we will win. And in that, even before the airplane excursion without a ticket to Cuba, I spent 4 years in Cuba, which was really eye-opening for me because there I was able to expand my thought from not only from the Black Panthers here in San Francisco, there in Fillmore, but also to see what was like, well, the term international solidarity. What does that mean? Is there such a thing as international solidarity? Yes, because there's oppressive people everywhere. And the beauty of being with the Cuban people who look just like me and just look, I'm like, oh my God, this is, I, you don't know until you go and realize that people are people. And at the same time, there's always a resistance to what this nation continues to do for those who resist. But guess what? We're all going, I told my family, I said, well, when I go, if you can find the piece in my body, say another one bites the dust. I want to go out fighting. I want to go out doing the best I can to raise consciousness and letting people understand the history. I'm really glad that Sister Wanda and everything bring in the pictures because we will not be erased. Like Francis Welling said, we got the dominant gene, but we got to keep up the stories. We got to keep up the storytelling, and we got to go back to writing and reading and recanting those stories because in that is our strength and our solidarity. And in that, not allowing others to divide and conquer who we are and where we're going as a people. And to that, I say, right on. Right on to all the ancestors, Sister Asada, and all those who've given their life for a better tomorrows. Because I still think like then. I remember when um, I used to go to the adjustment center. That was like the hole in San Quentin to meet then it was just brothers there. And I was privy to meet a lot of soldiers there. Most of them are gone, but a few are still here and fighting on. And that's what I say in my daily affirmation. Not only am I healthy, I am wealthy because I got people who love me. I am wise because I am with my experiences and what I've gone through and what I continue to learn and to fight for. And most importantly, I have to say, I learned from this brother Gais, the will. The will keep you living when they shoot you up full of chemicals at these so-called healing centers. I call it the Western medical places where they poison you and giving you, oh, you're not dead yet? Here, let me see what I can do. But keep up the will to survive and to carry it on. But because just like my previous sister said, it's through the music and it's through the storytelling and it's through the will, we're going to get through this shit. Thank you.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you, Ida. Wow, wow. I was just thinking, I think the best resistance is continuing to live, continuing to occupy this body. Yeah, until it goes back to the earth. Not giving up, as they say. Now I believe, is it time for Zoe? Did I say that when I was going through it?
Okay, great. Again, I'm so honored to be here, to listen to, the goddesses, right? To the mama goddesses. I started doing shadow work um, in 2022. And so shadow work includes, healing the inner child. Um, it has to do with reparenting. It has to do with, guidance and self-acceptance and self-awareness and self-reflection. And so, how did I get here today? Because I think it was in 2023 or 2024, Wanda was passing through Chicago, and I said, "Let me read something to Wanda." And so that's how I got here. So I read her a couple of my journal entries, and the rest is all of our story. Okay. But I started this inner child work because I wanted to face me and to see what was still weighing me down or what burdens had been lifted. I wanted to know if I was consumed by those old wounds, or had I learned to embrace me and all that comes with this mother? Had I overcome? So basically, what I want to do is to share some of those raw uh, entries that, I had to make as I was, digging deep within myself. They're uncut, right? And, this is no pity party, but it is, right? And ultimately, it is jubilance for me, it's joy, right? It is, me working towards my well-being. So this is the first one. And these journals come, of course it comes with the date, and then it asks you, well, what are you feeling emotionally? Right. And so this was November 25, 2022. I was feeling peaceful, but the prompt was write about a childhood experience that may have influenced an insecurity or fear you currently have. And so I said, I wish I could think of or recall a single incident, but it was more likely my entire childhood that influenced both fear and insecurity. I was always afraid. I do remember not being able to remember a poem for an Easter Sunday program or something like that. And I got whipped for it because I got whipped for, not remembering, the poem. I was about 4 years old. And from that point on, I never wanted to try to remember anything else. And I'm thinking to this day, that's why I probably have issues, with memory, other than some, other kind of deficiencies. But anyway, I said I don't remember anybody helping me to practice that poem, right? Um, I was never okay as a child, never had security. I was never really taught how to do anything, but I was criticized for not doing a thing well, just always afraid. I felt insecure about everything. November 26th. My emotions are mixed. The prompt: describe a time when your child self felt misunderstood. What do you wish you could tell them now? I think I felt misunderstood, when my brothers would lie on me to my mama and I'd get a whipping for it. I was misunderstood when I'd clean the house and the siblings would mess it right back up. When mama got home, right, I would be, blamed and sometimes punished. I wish I could, tell my brothers that we are family and that we should not lie on each other, because that really, really hurts me to the point that my throat hurts and I can't defend or protect myself from that. I also would like to tell them that, please help me to clean the house. right? So that it can look nice and not be messed up when company comes. I know y'all are boys, but we're family. Help me, and we all look good. November 27th. I feel calm and peaceful. As a child, what did you always lack or were deprived of? As a child, I was deprived of appropriate love, affection, healthy attention, encouragement, and instruction. From my memory, I only recall Amy holding my hand and spending time with me. She would take me to the bridge over the highway and teach me colors and counting by looking at the cars that passed underneath. A cousin named Curtis would make me stand still while he lit matches and then put them between my toes and, made me stand still there until the matches burnt down. And I said, how horrible is that? No one ever said anything positive to me or about me. I was an object of ridicule. It was because Mama said she was raped by my father, who was a married man. And I looked just like him, and I think that the family was embarrassed. December 13, 2022. I'm feeling calm and peaceful. And the prompt, did you always feel loved as a child? Why or why not? No, I didn't always feel loved as a child. At this moment, I felt as though I didn't feel. I only remember the love of Amy because she tried to protect me and teach me numbers and colors. January 8th, 2023, happy and sad. If you could write a letter to yourself as a child, what would it say? If I could write a letter to myself as a child, I would say that you're special and that you're important and that you're beautiful. You can dream as big as you want. You can learn anything and you can believe in yourself. God made you perfectly whole. So just be because you are okay. You will still have healing to do. Just work on being and becoming the best version of you because you're so worth it. You do matter. There are people in the world who need what you have to offer. January 10th, 2023, sad and mixed feelings. If you could write a letter to your father, paternal caregiver, what would it say? I never had a father who actually took care of me for an extended period of time. There was James, who was the father of three of my siblings. There were five of us. I was the eldest. He was nice to me, and he didn't treat me any differently from his biological children. I was able to thank him for that while he was alive. And I would thank him again now. I appreciate you for respecting my humanity and not abusing me. Thank you. I think I have one last one and then I'm outie. Okay. Um, January 12, 2023, happy mixed melancholy. How did you view your father or paternal caregiver as a child? Um, I didn't have a parental caregiver that was consistent as a child. There were uncles who had their own families and demons, alcoholism, and just very abusive people. But one uncle, Will, when he was home, He spent time with me in a healthy way. And I met my biological father when I was 14 years old, and we didn't have much of an interaction over the years. He was a bit distant. Thank you. And still we rise.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Zoe. Thank you, Zoe. Mama Makeda.
Yes. Thank you, everybody. You told my story. All of those prompts, when I read them, I thought, oh, here's the outline for a book, actually. And that my life has been about healing from the day actually April 17th, 1960, when I came home and my mother was dead. And today I know that there's no other protection like that as your mother's protection. And so that meant I went through a whole lot of things that um, I don't think I would have it had she been here and watching me. So I thank God for her giving her life for mine. Um, and so I it's I write every day because I have to. I'm like 35 years sober, so um, alcohol, poetry took the place of alcohol, and I drank every day. So I don't write every day, but I try to. So my journey has been a journey of healing, and I choose today to talk about that part. Um, and I want to dedicate this particular poem to my daughter, whose birthday is today, and she's turning 51, and to Winnie Mandela, and the women who practice freedom. Free at last, she took the long way home out of the past. She emerged from her unapologetic season, panting, a sacrifice set free. Black body like new dirt in planting season, locks dripping, mind transformed, spirit stretched out wide like shade on a sunny southern afternoon. She left herself a long, long time ago. Or maybe it was just for a moment. She is a womb, a world of stories in her being, stories that push the brush on canvas, stories that seep from under scabs and stitches, stories sown in blood, tears, and sometimes ecstasy. She is more than a mother, a daughter, a sister, a wife. She wears black skin. She wears black skin, nappy hair. She heals and expose the sins of the fathers. She watches her children and her children's children die from white. She is the daughter of kings who toss her to the wind in 500 years of slavery. She is grace, mercy, and unafraid. She is ash that rose from the fire of colonization. She is a savior, a messiah, a peacemaker, a comforter, a miracle worker, a healer. She is music and laughter. She's a lover. She is the light of the world, not a queen, but a goddess. Can you hear her? She sounds like freedom. The beat is funky, deep, and sweet. Her blackness walks before her like a bulletproof shield, and in her bosom, she carries the secrets of her healing, of life, written in the midnight hour. Thank you. And then I have another one. And I cut it off, so I'm going to read the part, read as much as I did because I'm not that technical in it. So anyway, we'll come together another time. I'll read the whole thing. This is called Dancing in the Street. And somebody said something about right now. Right now, I'm 74 years old. They gave me 18 months to live 11 years ago this month. Um, and I'm finally free. for real, like for real free. And so I was thinking about um, this, and like I said, this isn't the whole poem. It's just part of it. Dancing in the Street is called. Some of y'all know that song. I remember love when she danced to freedom songs under the blue lights in the basement. Feet moving to the beat, grooving under the spell of trip lights and Isaac Hayes on the stereo crooning. By the time I get to Phoenix, she'll be crying. High on weed, homegrown under a plant light in the closet, 4 or 5 babies sleeping in the bedroom. We came to get high as a kite or drunk as Cooter Brown. We came to eat, drink, play bidwits, and dance. We served meatless spaghetti, garlic bread, Boone's Farm, Strawberry Hill wine, and we be disturbing the neighborhood, singing loud, fueled by the holiness of it all, bodies pressed against our hip huggers and mini skirts, dashikis wet with that young, funky, I'm gonna get me some tonight sweat. It was enchanting. We danced, made romance and babies. We called it love because it healed us in places we didn't have a name for. It touched us in spaces the ancestors lost in the Middle Passage. Those places violators couldn't touch no more. We danced, intoxicated by the freedom to say no, to choose. We danced, innocent, blind, ignorant to the truth because old folks didn't tell us no slave stories. They kept their back in the day pain to themselves and watched us dance. We didn't know what it meant to be a black womb. We were ignorant to the power we held, embodied, exuded, projected. They raised us to be free, so we danced. We danced with the door jam, booty swinging, feet stomping, doing a Texas hop to Jackie Wilson, and baby workout. We danced alone, arms holding space for the dream Mama and Daddy gave us, pelvis grinding to slow. Uh, yeah, that's where it cuts off. Sorry about that. But next time we get together, I'll read the rest of it. What I wanted to say today was that I'm grateful to be called into spaces like this because I believe that we are healing. That's what we're here for. And we don't have to, we like the sun, we don't have to rise or set. We could just shine. And and that's where I am right now. I know that everybody has their own journey. And those of us who have survived the Black woman journey, which is like no other, is I call goddesses, you know. She came here originally, they say, and made herself a fig leaf outfit and left the garden and lost 2 sons, one killing the other one. The story we have that we started off with. Well, I'm about changing it. I didn't know I was going to be here this long, but as long as I'm here, I'm about love and and overcoming and carrying the message and teaching the children about art. And my mama died. My grandmother took us to the art store, and I am grateful for that. So thank you, because I know that you guys are the people who, um, well, what is within God that is art. That there's this program called Black Woman is God, and at first I thought, ooh, but now I know. Thank you for letting me be here. That's it.
Yeah. Thank you, Mama Makeda. Oh, I see you, Rev Dele. I thought I had lost you. That was really beautiful. All of the stories have been hecka beautiful. Rev Dele, do you have anything you want to add to your introduction of all your people?
Well, I will say that the oldest story that I have is of Sophie, who lived to be 120 years old. She was supposed to have had red hair and green eyes, and she worked in the house. And one day, we don't know why, but she uh, got all riled up and she was in the house. It was wintertime. And she took a bed of hot coals and threw it on the mistress and ran out the house, ran down the hill, ran to the river to drown herself. And but she wasn't successful with that part. So they whipped her and brought her back. But we used to have plays, and that story just came to my mind. We used to have plays during our family reunion, talking about Aunt Sophie and her acts of resistance. And we didn't care that, you know, she got in trouble afterwards. I said, no, she rose up and she said, I ain't taking it no more. And we used to have a lot of fun with that one. We also have stories of the story of how our ancestor came over here. Our ancestors were on the ship looking at trinkets, and the ship took off. And when they realized that the ship was moving, some of them jumped off, and some of them stayed. And the one that stayed, that we have the name from, uh, only part of in fact, my name Dele, that's the original spelling of our ancestor's name, and it's the suffix to what would have been a longer name. And that Dele means at home. And so you have Io Dele, joy at home, wisdom at home, strength at home. Something would have been in front of that Dele. So as time went on, and this ancestor who was renamed Bill, he's the one who named his first son, Cato Dele. He named his son for his grandfather, who was still back home. And so as time went on, you know, Cato Dele was born during slavery, but then the Civil War came. After the Civil War, we know that across the country there were a lot of prayer revivals and tent revivals that went on. And our story is that at one of these tent revivals, you know, a whole bunch of folks got up to be saved and they're just crying and carrying on and just so thankful to, you know, to be one with God. And then they start talking to each other about where they're from and where did they come from. Well, come to find out, this group of men and women were all from the same plantation. And they kept talking, and then realized they were brothers and sisters. They had been reunited at this tent revival. And so my ancestor Cato said, well, y'all, you don't have to take the slave master's name. We got our own name. And so that's how the Dele name became. They Americanized the spelling on the census, Delley. But again, I had, you know, done my African culture and history research. And when we were living in Oklahoma, we ran across some Nigerian people who said, yes, we know that name Dele. Well, we told them the story. One story I have not told you, because it's actually with my grandfather, but it impacted all of us. He was a blacksmith, and he knew how to manipulate gases, and so he probably was a babalao. And so he got hired out by the master to do magic shows because he could manipulate the blue flame. And so a lot of times we talk about the blue flame in our family reunions. It, you know, has spiritual significance in a lot of different traditions, and we draw on that particular story. And so when I told this Nigerian person about the story of the blue flame, he said, "Oh, we have that story. We know it." And he told us the correct pronunciation of Cato's name. It was Kekto, which actually, when we go back to one uh, uh, census, that's how it was spelled. But people, you know, spelling, you know, is relative. And so it is what it is. The spiritual strength, the spiritual power uh, is what moves through our family. It's the story. All of these men married very strong spiritual women. And I think what I really appreciate about this particular project is that it has given me the opportunity to take those stories, take my family narrative, and allow it to mature. It's not just that this thing happened, it's what lesson did I learn from that? And what lesson have I embraced and embedded in my life so that as I leave my legacy, that story can move on in a helpful way, not just it happened back then and oh wow, it's no, what was the value that allowed us to survive and thrive during hard times. One of those ways is our relationship with the natural world. And we have stories of our grandmothers gardening and just being mesmerized and walking at night unafraid, because that was a time when they gathered their strength. And so that was I wanted to share that, and my way of gathering strength with the natural world began when I was 9 years old. My family went camping, and this is back in the day when you really the camping was not glamping. There was no floor on the tent. Your face was on the earth, and I remember it was hot. I put my face on the earth that was cool, and I listened to the wind rustling the leaves and the trees, and I felt my consciousness being bathed. I didn't have those words back then, but as I recall that experience over and over, it always takes me to another realm. And this is, I guess that oneness with nature that I want to pass on with people. It's also something that I've written about. I met Sister Wanda through Sojourner Truth Network. And I remember that when I carried this particular stole, we had the slogan, "Truth travels, truth is contemporary, and truth prevails." And I remember that because I come from a family of women who tell the truth. And we know that truth-telling women are not always appreciated, but we didn't care. And we still don't care because we know that truth is what sets us free. And so I, kind of bring all of that into one bundle. I've written a book about Sojourner Truth's childhood because she also had a specific relationship with nature. In fact, she also believed that God heard you better when you prayed outdoors. So as a child, she created a spiritual discipline. She built a willow prayer house, and she says she went to that willow prayer house at least once a day. And she says all of her prayers were answered. So, this whole idea of gathering our strength from varieties of sources, not just our stories, but what was the element in the story that gave that person strength? And how do we draw from that element directly ourselves? And that's what I really want people to gather when they read. It's a children's book with some beautiful pictures. And I want people to gather that strength themselves, to go out and put your feet in the soil and raise your hands to the sky and see how does our cosmic mother respond to us. And I think that's all.
Thank you, Rev Dele. Yeah, thanks for mentioning Reverend Dr. Laverne Hall and the Sojourner Truth Traveling Stole Project, which is how we met each other through that wonderful project. And I do recall Sojourner Truth said, Ashe, she never asked for something that she didn't get it. And you all probably know because you know me, I had the Soul Journey for Truth project where I took Amtrak across the country to where Sojourner Truth was born, raised, and enslaved, and then went to all those places, where she was born, where she was enslaved, and then down to Battle Creek, Michigan, from New York to Michigan. Battle Creek, where, as I showed you in my slides, where there's that beautiful monument of her that's 12 feet tall. That's pretty awesome. I have a poem, a poem from my a closing poem that tells the story, and because it's a poem, and it's not illustrated, it's not a movie, y'all. Again, this one's not digital story, so you're gonna have to listen for the nuggets or the mama tools that I mentioned in the opening that we're all sharing with you, because I'm sure you feel probably heck of full. You probably have so many wonderful tools. You'll be able to like reach back and reach forward for, when life gets a bit challenging and you wonder, like, before you start moving, you like pause and just think, reflect a minute on these mama stories and on your own mama stories for that matter. This piece is called Skipping Between Shoulder Blades. How do you get to be a grown person? Through living. Living is a path taken through our mother's wombs. This house inside her body is temporary, yet home inside her earth lasts throughout our lives as we remember, as we forget, as we remember blueprints, designs, and build other homes within ourselves. Flesh-home connections are an inescapable forever. Such lineage marks us. It lives in mirrored faces, bones, blood, DNA, epigenetic survival strategies that work as we dissolve in pools and reemerge transformed, inexplicably present when the world thought us destroyed. Yes, I am still here. My sisters are still here. Our lives are master keys, doorways, arrivals that welcome and surprise. Our hearts beat, knock, open what looks closed. We unlock some things, then block certain avenues as longevity stands as witness to it all. We learn to keep going. I am still here. My mother is still here. My aunties are still here. My grannies are still here. The first womb who agreed to carry life into this place of uncertainty lives now, and because I am, they all are. But that's just the beginning of my story, because some mothers drop the baby and run away, escape, discard their loads for other hands to pick up. I was unfinished. Women not of my bloodline embraced me. Sister Miriam Anna El-Wadi claimed me. Sister Sadie Williams and her daughter Jackie claimed me. Jackie's daughters claimed me as family. Sister Elretha and brother Elmer Rashid and her daughter Rosalind and her cousins and grandchildren and great-grandchildren. Her big sister Olivia Samaya Beya welcomed me home too. Her home was shelter and finishing school, one of many. I never graduated. I just moved on as their flesh doors closed. This life is a series of connected doors that open and close as lessons appear, then turn the page. Each day I wake up, lessons appear on horizons. My ancestors sharpened pencils, then plotted paths to guide my feet. Lessons keep me balanced, steady along a terrain I cannot always see clearly. My body is the bus. It needs maintenance, oil, water, care, tune-ups, rest. It likes to roll. It can even fly. It is more than it seems capable of. It carries me to freedom. It is freedom because in it, the bus, I get to practice. I can be the chance some ancestor needed to get something straight. My spirit body can be a genetic healing for those to come. I don't have to know everything. I answer to what my mother called me, Wanda. It's important to know your love name. It is a frequency I tune my life to now. My mother loved me from the very beginning of my life. I was blessed. I know women for whom this is not true. I know women whose mothers were not connected via bloodlines. I know women whose fathers caught these girls in warm hands and protected these girls as they sheltered, nurtured, and loved them. All of us are here. The roads converge at the same intersection: love, hope, joy, forgiveness. I know women who barely made it, but they did. Our lives are a series of both good and not so helpful choices. We're not born independent, so we lean on other bodies to carry us until the next day and the next until we can walk alone. This dependency is sometimes crippling. However, we survive and move on and move on and open doors with keys we've earned. Some keys open what's previously closed. Other keys do not turn the lock, and locks that do not release the inserted key remain closed. We turn around, find our footing, stand taller, and move along the path opening before us. I don't have to know what's ahead of me to try something new. We grow stronger, make wiser choices, stop running, put down the keys. I say yes to most invitations, especially those where there is dancing and music, not too much talk. Chatter annoys me. I'm looking for joy and happiness. I carry a knapsack filled with both. Hope lifts me when I am tired. It is the breath that carries me through what looks impossible. I look at my feet at the end of the day and I see my grandmother's feet. I take my inventory. I see my mother's hands. I see my daughter's smile, my niece's eyebrows. I am a collective experience moving along a path I pave with my choices. Today I choose what brings more life. I carry a can full of fresh water. Ashe dances ahead, beside, and behind me. My words spray light. They witness, affirm, and amplify what is good and wholesome. Flowers bloom in my wakefulness. Life is a work in progress. I am throwing paint on canvas. When I leave, I pass the brushes to my daughters and granddaughter and grandsons and great-grandchildren who might not know me, yet they are inheritors. I live as long as they live, and even after we are all returned to the red clay that housed the first mother spirit in our collective masterpiece, grace is a canopy that holds all. We are bigger than these temporary flesh houses, spirit houses who dance one life into another, and another, and another. I am because you are all, Mama dear. May my life adequately illustrate my gratitude and love. Ashe, 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 y'all. Oh, thank you. So now, oh, we have 7 minutes. So, Shauna, if people have questions, can you, um, you know, do whatever you do with that? And if you could, at the end, don't forget to show our playlist and how to get in touch with us and the references. So now you all get a chance to talk for a bit. Tell us what you think. Ask questions.
Thanks, Wanda. Yeah, put questions in the chat if you have any questions. I'm not seeing one right now. There was one about the original spelling of your family member name, Cato, but that's been answered in the chat. Any other questions?
And you all can have questions too, panelists. So if you want to ask anybody a question or everybody can answer a question, please feel free. Or we can just sit here and look lovely. Oh, and Rev Dele is going to lead us in the chant at the end. But we're going to be muted because it won't sound right if we all try to sing in Zoom.
Remind me which one.
Oh gosh. Let me look.
Oh, I remember. I
don't have the name, sorry.
I remember.
Okay, cool.
Not seeing anything else in the chat right now.
Okay, well, did any of you all want to, I don't know if we can play music that's copywritten, can we?
Not if we post it.
Okay, I think so. Okay, anybody want to sing something that they wanted in those songs? Or do you have a question for each other?
Well, I did have a question for Dr. Zoe. This is Shauna. Zoe. I was wondering what prompts you were using for your shadow work. Those sounded very like they drew a lot out of the answers.
More than I cared to share, but yeah, and I can't really show, well, sort of kind of. It's this pink book, and I think I got it from Amazon, and at that time it was really cheap, like $10, right? Let me see.
Yeah, I bought a copy of that book too when Zoe shared a few years ago, and it was available and it wasn't that expensive. And then I bought the author has another one, so I bought the other one too. If I was sitting closer to my bookshelf, I could show it to you, Shauna.
Yeah, and it's called Inner Child Work Journal, 100 Prompts for Healing, Inner Child Work, Shadow Work, Reparenting, Guidance, Self-Acceptance, Self-Awareness, and Self-Reflection. Yeah.
Thank you.
And I am still a work in progress, right? And yeah, and I'm okay.
I just like to say I am so full, you know. Everybody brought such magic and madness and clarity all in a bundle for me. So just thank you all for I'll probably have a million questions tomorrow, but tonight, no, I don't have any. Yeah. Well, actually, Rev Dele, you talked about perceiving homesteading. Was that what you were saying? On your land? What is that?
Um, we're teaching homesteading. We're
Teaching
teaching
homesteading.
skills, people skills how to build your home out of, straw and mud and
Mm,
mixing it, making your own stucco, rainwater catchment, those things that help you to live off grid. And one thing that I really like to emphasize to urban people is that one way to kind of fortify yourself during this time is to naturalize your yard, to take the grass up and use low growing native plants, because
mm.
once you put native plants back in the ground, then Mother Nature starts to create her own tapestry and you no longer have to take care of it.
That's wonderful.
So just those simple little things, and a demonstration of those simple things, because we've been taught so many things that are opposite of what is life-giving.
Mm,
And so how do you change your yard so that you can drop the temperature 10 to 20 degrees? Okay,
wow.
there's yeah, this is like real science that we're not getting. And we want to make sure that our children learn how to be natural house builders. Okay,
Mm,
that's the goal. Our children need to learn how to, do the rainwater catchment with thousands of, in a 1 inch rainfall. With the average home, you can collect several thousand gallons of water, and you learn how to use the little laser technology to clean it if you have to. Our children in our neighborhoods need to know these things because it exists. And
mm,
so that's what we mean by homesteading. It's just
mm.
learning how to, start your home from scratch and stay there.
Fabulous. And Ida, I know what is air piracy? I thought that was
It's
so
it,
like,
And I wanted
whoa,
to know
wow.
that too.
it's a soft name for hijacking.
Oh, all right, Miss Woman.
You go, girl.
Wow, wow.
Yeah,
I
go
love
girl
the
with my 20
term.
years too, okay? All right, don't forget that part.
Did you do the 20 years? You did it.
I did half because it was old law.
God bless you. It's so
But bless you, you've done so much work with witness you year after year, dealing with our women, which is really hard. And I just love you because I've seen you in action and I've seen the results of many of the women that you've allowed to help them on their journey to healing. Got so much love for you, baby.
thank you. Their faces came up today. So many of the women I've worked with, as I was
Right.
listening to this, I wish they
Okay.
could have been here. I'll find out. I told people I'll find out if people
Hmm.
showed up. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
But
Wonderful.
thank you,
Yeah.
Wanda.
Oh,
Thank
you're
you.
welcome. I want to thank you, Shauna, and the San Francisco Public Library African American Center for always being like so open, to community programming, particularly mine. Really, really appreciate that.
Thanks, Shauna.
Yeah,
And
Thank
thank you,
you.
Miss
yeah, thank you,
Shauna.
Shauna.
Yeah,
Thank you,
anytime you
Shauna.
all. I'm full as well. This was so amazing.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, it really is. And so Shauna, can you show the last few slides, and then Rev Dele has a song that we're gonna chant out so that we can thank our ancestors for joining us. So Rhodessa, that was your song. You want to tell people why?
Mahalia Jackson.
Mhm.
I just, she was a goddess, Mahalia Jackson. She was from another place and was somebody my mother loved. And it was a mystery to me as a kid. But at the same time, how I got over all the things we're talking about, my soul sits back and wonders, how am I still alive?
Mhm.
And all the poems by you, Wanda, the words Zoe Franklin, all this stuff speaks to that song. It's like, how did I make it over?
Mhm.
I'm still standing. And also, I'm not the only, but as an African American woman, we do stop and say, it's my mother's prayers. It's my grandmother's prayers that carry me across this place. That's simply what it was. But thank you for asking. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, my song was Shaka Khan's "Ain't Nobody Love Me Better," and that's like a mantra because until we love ourselves better,
Yeah.
we can't get better. And so that's like my anthem. It's like I've written poetry to this one too.
Mm,
It's like, yeah, ain't nobody love me better
mhm.
than me and spirit, the creator,
Right.
and that's all I need, outside of flesh body people. You can't love me better. I can love me
Right,
better.
Mhm.
right.
So that's why I love that song. And it's got a nice groove. You could dance to it. Yeah. Is that one yours, Zoe?
Yes, Denise Williams, uh, I
Oh.
just love her. She's a songbird. Part of that song, Black Butterfly, says, sailed across the waters. Tell your sons and daughters what the struggle brings. Black butterfly, set the skies on fire. Rise up even higher so the ageless winds of time can catch your wings. I just love it.
Yeah. And then Mama Makeda, I don't see you. Is she still with us?
Yes, I
Oh,
am.
there you are. Okay. Um, so that's yours, the last one.
But
You
I
want to
can't
tell us?
see it. What is it? What does
Etta
it say?
James at
At
last. I think that was
last.
Yes,
yours,
Yeah.
right?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah. You
At
want
last. And that's right where I am. At last. There all the power is within us, and it doesn't come from anywhere but God. Thank you
Hmm.
for
Mhm.
that. So I can't sing, so I'm not gonna even go there.
Right, yeah. So we encourage everyone to, you know, play the soundtrack, the playlist and just reflect on these great stories and you can add your own songs to this. Um Shauna, yeah. And then for further information, you can reach out to me at souljourning, the numeral 4, truth at gmail.com. And then there's my Google number, 510-397-9705. And if
Good
you have any
job.
messages for any of our sister panelists about their mama stories, please
Wonderful.
feel free to email me and I'll get the information to them. And then the last two slides, Shauna, please. So because, this was a scholarly venture, I've got lots of references. So I don't expect you to read it all now. Just take a screenshot or watch the
Mm,
recording and get it again.
for real.
But uh, one of the people that I really, really love the work of is Roxanne Gay. Not that
I'll be
bad.
right
That
back.
is from Rape Culture. Yeah, it's like, wow, to say to violence, it's not that bad. So, you know, do I take it? And then Estelle Friedman, um, redefining rape, sexual violence in the era of suffrage and segregation. I think she's at Stanford, and she was really kind. I think she actually reached back when I when I sent her an email, which is really kind of her. And I'm actually going to be published a piece that I wrote about my Motherline story. It's going to be published in a textbook coming out this year. So I'll share that with anybody who's interested. And the next page. Let's see. Oh, Sadia Hartman. I really love the Dead Book Revisited. She is profound. And all of the Bell Hooks books, all about love, new visions. Oh my goodness. If you want to start somewhere, that is such a beautiful book. And the Sisters of the Yam, Black Women in Self-Recovery. That is a great work. That's a great book that looks at how do we heal ourselves and how do we heal Black women community. She's got like practical support there. She gosh, phenomenal woman, Ashe. She was with us for a while, but now she's with in the ancestral realm. And I think, is that the last page? Oh no, gosh, 3 pages. Okay. Let's see. Oh, this one here by Lakeisha Michelle Simmons, Crescent City Girls, The Lives of Young Black Women in Segregated New Orleans, Gender and American Culture. When I read that book, I understood my mother and my aunties and my grandmother, because I wasn't there. But I understood sort of what they came through. And then Ricky Solinger's Wake Up Little Susie, Single Pregnancy and Race Before Roe v. Wade. That book is one of the only books that talks about Black women, that tells our stories in that story of girls who became pregnant and what happened, quote, the family tried to disappear the babies and what happened with all that. And so anyway, yeah, some great resources. So you may want to read some of them. And Dr. Wade Noble, Seeking the Saku, I love that. Love that book. Foundational Writings for African Psychology. Very, very nice book too. So I think that might be it, right, Shauna?
Yep, that's it. I'll stop
Okay.
sharing.
Yeah, so now we can have Rev Dele lead us all, and that includes
Okay.
those who are not a part of the panel in our closing song. Yes, Shauna.
Okay.
Mhm.
Actually, I want us to do our little rock that we know how to do. So,
Oh.
to the right, to the left, to the right, to the left. We're crossing over one by one. You sing. We're crossing over one by one. Okay. Our ancestors lead us to the sun. I'll go. Our ancestors lead us to the sun. Your turn. Our ancestors lead us to the sun. Don't let them catch you with your work undone. Don't let them catch you with your work undone. We're crossing over one by one. We're crossing over one by one. Our ancestors lead us to the sun. Don't let them catch you with your work undone. We're crossing over one by one.
Fabulous.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oops. Oh, sorry. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for such a wonderful, wonderful afternoon of medicine. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Be
Thank
well,
you,
everybody.
Goddess, Mama Sisters.
Take care. Be well. Until
Be
next
well.
time.
As well. Okay.